Good morning. I would like to thank all of you for taking your time and listening to our webinar. Our webinar today is going to be based on our brand Vezco, it's our CCTV brand. And the focus of this webinar is going to be our 4K definition series. We're going to be going a little bit in depth about what is 4K, how it's used in the CCTV world, what are some advantages of 4K, what are some disadvantages of 4K, what our basic system topology graph looks like. We're going to cover some of our models in IP as well as in TVI. So we're going to take a look at those cameras. We're also going to be taking a look at our recorders. We're going to be taking a look at a couple of images that I have assorted here from comparisons between lower megapixels to higher megapixel rates, as well as a video of one of our cameras doing some digital zoom. It's a 4K camera. It's a TVI series camera. And we're going to be looking at that video and how it compares on the digital zoom level to high percentages of image expansion. So we're going to first look at it at a 100%. Then we're going to zoom into 300, 600, all the way to 1,000% in digital zoom. And you're going to clearly see the difference why 4K is the new way to do CCTV. So let's go ahead with no further ado, and let's begin this presentation. So like I said, this presentation is about Vezco. Vezco has been in the market for a few years already. It's a brand that focuses only in CCTV. However, it has some integration. It has most integration parameters with access control and as well as their intercom system. So Vezco manages CCTV and imaging. We also do intercom systems. So here we're going to take a look at our 4K definition. What is 4K? So 4K is all the buzz in the CCTV because of its ultra high definition recording capabilities. They are referred to as 4K because they have the horizontal resolution of 4,000 pixels, 4,096 to be exact, and the vertical resolution of 2160 pixels. So here we have a quick demonstration of a comparison between what is 480p, 720p, 1080p, 2K, which already falls into the 3 and 5 megapixels, and what is 4K resolution. So we can literally see the reason that we call it 4K is in general terms because it's 4 times high definition. So high definition will be between 1080 to 2K. So 4K, it's literally 4 times bigger in resolution. So as it says here at the bottom, it says the previous full HD standard of 1920 by 1080, more commonly known as 1080p, is being superseded by the 4K resolution, or 3840 by 2160, boasting an impressive 4 times as many pixels as its predecessor. This is not new, okay? This is something that's been happening for a long time already, but it's here in CCTV now, and is becoming more accessible and affordable. Before, this was used only for very large projects or specialized systems. Now, with the advancement in technology, this has made it more affordable, and now we can go ahead and implement this in more standard systems. So as it says here, this isn't cutting edge, future technology either. It's already here, and it's to be adopted as a common standards in a lot of industry. So just as a few years ago, not even many years ago, 10 years ago or so, we were talking about 500 to 700 TV lines. And then we got up to 1 megapixel and 1.3 megapixel, which is 7020p. And in a few years after that, around 6 to 7 years ago, it became a market standard of 2 megapixel cameras. And I don't doubt that in a couple of more years, maybe 3 to 4 years, 4K is going to be the new market standard. There is a newer resolution, which is 8K resolution, but that right now is only available for specialized products and projects as well. Any questions here?
No question, Bruno.
So now we're going to take a look of what is a general topology and something that we're very proud of, which is our app. Our app is able to transfer 4K resolution through your cell phone via a P2P cloud technology. However, your cell phone must have a screen that displays in 4K for you to be able to fully take advantage of that feature. Same thing as anything else. For 4K resolution to be valid, the display monitor must also be 4K. If I have a 4K DVR, 4K camera, and my monitor is 1080p, my max resolution is going to be 1080p. So in order for you to achieve the highest resolution possible, your monitor must be compatible with the higher resolution. So here I wanted to make an emphasis on our app. So our app has that feature to transfer in ultra high definition. And here we have a little topology example of how it would look on a remote scenario, where we have multiple DVRs, NVRs, hybrid systems, standalone IP cameras, all connected to a client in a management service. And then I have somewhere else another system that is also connected to a client management server, and I can view that through the same system. Any questions here?
No, Bruno.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's proceed. So here we're going to go take a look at our camera models for our IP systems. So these are all 8 megapixels with 4K resolution. All these cameras are intelligent cameras. We have 3 models that are standard fixed lens, and we have 2 models that are varifocal with motorized zoom. So the first model is the VZ-IP 4K-D8000 TWDR. So this model of this bullet in the dome next to it, both of them count with a true WDR of 160 dBs. That's one of the highest in the markets. Then we have a standard fixed lens bullet. This has digital WDR of 120 dB. So it should be considered true WDR already, but since we have one that's even better, we named down it. So if you were to compare the bottom camera here, the 8050, to most true WDRs, it will completely fit inside that category. It's a standard fixed lens. All of our fixed lenses are 2.8 millimeters. All of our varifocals are 2.8 to 12 millimeters. And here on the right side, we have our varifocals with motorized zooms, which is the 8050, B8050 and the D8050 MZVF. These count with 50 meters of IR, so I have a very large distance to cover. Any questions here?
No, Bruno, no question.
Okay, so let's go ahead and let's proceed with our TVI models. So our TVI models are also 8 megapixel 4K resolution, but they have an advantage point. They all have ultra light sensors. So the chipset of this camera is Dark Fighter, very similar to a Starlight chipset. So these cameras can work with 0.0001 lux. We have 2 models. We have one model, which is a varifocal motorized zoom with 40 meters IR. Then we have a fixed lens, which is a 4K resolution as well, but it's 2.8 millimeters, and it has 60 meters IR. Any questions here?
No, Bruno.
The best thing about these cameras is that even though they are TVI, a simple coax will be able to deliver the 4K resolution. As long as your DVR is capable of managing 8 megapixels, no problem, you'll be able to get 4K resolution. Now we're going to take a look at our video recorders. So we have a few models of NVRs, and then I have a model of DVR. In gross mode, we can say that all NVRs inside the Vezco line support 4K resolution. We have all of our NVR support the maximum of 8 megapixels, with the exception of our ultra heavy duty, which is the NVR 12M250. This one supports up to 12 megapixels. And then we also have a DVR, which is the VZ DVR 8M16-4K, which is a 16-channel TVI DVR with 4K output. All of these recorders count with a P2P cloud technology, so it's very easy for you to be able to share this device and view it through an app, or through your computer as well. Any questions here?
No, Bruno.
All right, so just adding a little bit more on. So when we see here, we have two NVRs that are relatively similar, but they have different part numbers. The casing is very similar, but the product is completely different. This is a standard NVR. We have it in 8 channels, and we have it in 16 channels. This is a smart NVR. It does basically everything this big boy does here, with the exception that it only manages 8 channels. So you can have full analytics on this NVR. This 32-channel NVR has PoE on 16 channels. Alright. So now it's one of the best parts here. We will experience the 4K resolution versus digital zoom. This is where I explained to you in the beginning of the presentation. This camera that we're looking at is this camera right here. Okay? So we're going to be looking at the 8360-4K. So this is a 2.8 millimeter 4K resolution TVI camera, the VZ-TVI8360-4K. The purpose of this video is to show the biggest difference between a 3, 5, and 8 megapixel resolution. The difference really pops when zoom is digitally and compared to a lower megapixel rate. So here, let's take a look at this video. So on this video, let me pause this video before we start. This video, as you can tell, this is a wide angle lens. So the focal points of this video, it's going to be here. So anything that we zoom on the side here, it's going to have a higher percentage of zoom just because of the angular view that we have. So we're going to be looking at a little bit of this zooming in and zooming out digitally. So as you can tell here in the bottom, it's going to show you this is 100% what the camera looks like, and then we're going to go be digitally zooming in. Look how clear this image is. Look at this backlight compensation, how it's perfect. Right there is a 200 times zoom, so basically 2 times digital zoom, and you still have the 8 megapixels. That is 600 times zoom. On something that is not the focal point of the image, take that into consideration. Now here we're reaching 1,000% digital zoom. But back to the 300. Then we zoom out back to 100. All right. Okay, so making the same comparison, as you saw how clear that image was. So this is a comparison with 200 times zoom. Okay, so I have 1 megapixel, 2 megapixels, 3 megapixels, 4, 5, and then 8. And I'm sorry, this is not 200. This is 600 times zoom. I apologize for that. This is in 600 times zoom. This is a moving object as well, so you take into consideration that the focal point for it might not be steady. It's a huge difference. When I have the image open and I'm looking at it at 100% zoom, it's very hard to distinguish between a 3 and a 5 megapixel or a 5 and an 8, except for sharpness on the image. But when you do a digital zoom, that's when you notice. And digital zoom is really where everything is. When something happens, very rarely a camera's focus zoomed in to catch a person's face or a car plate's number. That's when digital zoom comes in, is when we're doing that playback and trying to search for something or find that thief or find that car. With the digital zoom is what's going to give us that clear view. Any questions here?
No question, Bruno.
All right. This whole line of 4K products also counts with our standard Vezco 5-year limited warranty. And I would like to thank all of you for taking your time and listening to this webinar. I will open again for any questions or comments you guys might have. I would really appreciate if you guys can comment or make any questions so I can better assist you with this.
No question, Bruno.
All right, so once again, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you taking your time. If you have any questions that might come up, please feel free to email me, get in contact with us, and I will gladly answer your questions, provide you prices and technical services on this product. So once again, thank you very much. Thank you, Camila.